Well, I'd like to thank you all for being here, and I want you to know that we have with us Joe Jones, number 43 from the Denver Broncos, an amazing, amazing guy. We've had a great time talking. I showed him my number 43 necklace. Not that I'm, weird, but
It's a little weird that he got that after we scheduled this interview.
yeah. I was like, he's coming. I need a necklace. No, I'm just kidding. I just want to be able to spend some time talking to you about faith, football, family, all of the things that are very important to you.
The three Fs.
The three Fs, yeah. And so let's just talk. This last year, what did you use as a motivation to stay committed to your training and your preparation? I mean, what drove you? Because you didn't have OTAs and you didn't really have team activities because of what was going on in the world. What enabled to push you?
Yeah. I mean, I knew one, regardless of not having all that stuff, I still had to be ready to go and play. Not as much as I normally would have had to, just because the way things were structured and how they were doing things, and it was really weird and actually kind of irritating. 'Cause for me personally, things were slow when I got back. I felt
Okay.
like what I was doing before I got into training camp was a lot more intense, a lot more fast paced, a lot more beneficial than what I was doing when we got there. And that's just the COVID rules that the NFL and the NFLPA agreed on. Had to do what we had to do. But luckily, I actually had some teammates out here. Todd Davis, who is no longer with us, sadly.
Right.
Love Todd, one of my favorite people on this team. He found a trainer that he really liked out here, and so I kind of every year I've just kind of followed Todd. He's been like my mentor since I got here, man. I love that dude to death. So I just this kind of was another year, but we found a new guy, and this guy was pretty real. Taylor Sheridan at Elite Speed. If you guys, a little plug right there.
There you go. There you go. Hey, it's local. It's
little
local.
little far from here, but I mean, not too bad. About 40-minute drive. But no, great guy, great trainer. Former athlete, knows what he's doing. And so just being able to have a guy like that, have a teammate like Todd, and then actually make some new friends from college athletes and just hang out with them. Having the opportunity has been great. Just kind of helped me push myself and stay on track. That past offseason, and it'll be the same this offseason, seeing as how we will be in the same situation.
Because I know, just to kind of elaborate on that, I know that there are going to be a lot of high school athletes that are involved with Elevation or with us, because both my son and I coach at a high school, that are struggling with this. Hey, I can't play, so what do I do? What encouragement would you give to them?
Yeah. I mean, one, especially if you love this game or whatever sport it is that you participate in or whatever it is that you do, whatever hobby it is, one, make sure you love it. That's always my first thing. If you're going to put the effort and time into it, make sure it's something you enjoy doing and not just something you're just doing just to do it. I know a lot of people who have burned out doing that. A lot of guys who played football way before I did growing up, and by the time I was ready to go next level, they're like, "Yeah, I'm kind of done." Uh, Two, if you're gonna do it, work your butt off at it. Find whatever means you can. Um, I the situation, speaking specifically about football, even basketball, whatever. Being an athlete nowadays, it's a lot easier to get better now than it used to be.
Right.
There are so many facilities, so many training coaches, so many different things. Like the place I go to, Elite
Right.
Speed, uh, Landau Performance, I think is what
Yep.
it's called. I can't remember the name of it. Coach Landau in his
Yes.
facility, our strength coach, he has no facility. I didn't have that growing up.
Right.
And I know some places are a little expensive, or not necessarily expensive, but cost money, and some people that may not be in that situation to do that. If you are, go find a spot like that and take full advantage of it, because I wish I had something like that growing up. I feel like I would be such a better athlete
Right.
than I am now. If you don't, you find a way. I mean, you got a field somewhere outside, go run.
Right.
You know how to do a push up, do a bunch of push ups, sit ups, crunches, whatever it is that you have to do to find a way to get better. There's an excuse, but there's no excuse
Right.
if it is something that you truly care about and want to succeed at, with anything that you want to do.
There you go, Lauren. You got your plug right there, Lauren. You
Yeah,
got it.
Lauren,
Coach Lauren. Gotta love Lauren Landau. That dude is intense.
awesome dude.
I walk
Love
away
him.
going, I want to go run. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I never feel that way with him. Maybe lift. We can lift,
Maybe
coach. I'll stay away from the running.
Here's the thing, and you brought it up kind of in there, and I know it's not part of the questions that we had, but you were a basketball player and a track athlete. For kids today that are so sport specific, what would you tell them?
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Elaborate on that.
It's a back and forth with that, right?
Okay.
Because like for track and basketball, club really matters. AAU sports, like really
Right.
volleyball. Like my sister is, both my sisters played college volleyball. Their club volleyball mattered more than their high school volleyball.
Right.
I get that. Football does not matter. It's not like that. You got your
Right.
high school season and that's it. There are some summer camps and stuff like that you can go
Right.
to. Are they helpful and beneficial? Yes, but what matters most is what you do on the field during the season with your teammates and on your team. So go out and do another sport. Especially for football coaches, they love to see athletes.
Yes.
Like, so for me, I wasn't just a football guy. Like, I wasn't the guy that you just get hit hard. I could
Yeah.
run fast. I could run around people. I could run past people. I could jump very well. Like them seeing me play basketball and run track. Actually, funny story. So for me, high school, I broke my leg my junior year of second game of the season. Was having a phenomenal season. Oh my gosh. See, I know it was only sorry, third game. I believe it was third game of the season. First two
Okay.
games was killing it. Third game, second play, I went to go tackle somebody. My teammate dove, missed, and he took me out,
Oh.
broke my leg.
Oh.
Was one of the worst days of my life,
Yeah.
and ended up being one of the better days, just based on what God did with that. But a lot of Northwestern, then a lot of schools didn't, come my way. Or whatever. There's some schools that did after
Right.
that, ended up being able to finish out the basketball season, played like the last 5 games, which was great. I almost didn't. It was like it's only
Oh.
5 games, no point.
Right.
A lot of the seniors that I played with before, like Joe, he wants you to come play, and that was actually big motivation for me to finish the season
Yeah.
out. So I ran track and actually going to state and won the 110 hurdles that year, which was crazy. And me going to state, winning 110 hurdles was a huge key for Northwestern and wanting me to offer me a scholarship. Like they didn't, I broke my leg. They didn't see me play another snap of football. Like I
Right.
didn't. I had a football scholarship before I played my senior year.
Because of track.
Because of track, because of basketball, seeing like, okay, well, Joe's clearly back. Joe's dunking. Joe's running over hurdles. Joe's doing this.
Yeah.
Hasn't had any issues. A little soreness in the beginning, just getting
Right.
used to being back active. But other than that, nothing. Like, so that was a big thing for me. Like, Joe's athleticism is still there.
Yeah.
We love it. We love Joe. Let's do it.
So we encourage athletes to get out there.
I personally encourage athletes to
Yeah.
go out there and play more than one sport. Again, I know there are some like basketball and volleyball and track that club matters, but it doesn't have to be all year
Well,
round.
beyond.
Yeah. So at least two. At least two.
My son was voluntold that he was going to run track by the head football coach, who was also the head track coach. So
That's similar to my situation with football. My mom was like, "You're gonna do it." I got put on the waiting list because that year before we had just won. My high school just won state.
wow.
Very very small town, but very very big football town.
Right.
Just one state high school, and I'm like, I have no interest in getting hit or hitting people. I was very
And
soft.
your mom put you in.
My mom's like, my mom liked football. She saw the kind of thing I was like, Joe, you'd be good. And I was a bigger kid. Then
Right.
got much bigger, obviously, as I got older. But I was one of the bigger kids, definitely one of the fastest kids in my hometown. And so it's like, you're gonna do it. All my basketball and baseball coaches were football coaches. Like I was on the bottom of the list. Like, yeah, Joe, you're coming. So I was,
We got you.
yeah, I was in Georgia visiting my dad, and my mom's like, if they call you off the waiting list, you're coming home. I was in Georgia for maybe a week,
And they called
and
you.
they're like, yeah. I was like,
Mom's like, got to go.
yeah. Day one, I fell in love. I was so happy
Oh,
she made me do that. It
that's
was
awesome.
great.
That's awesome. Well, going back to the season and to all that you guys have had to do as professional athletes, how did you as a team, along with your teammates, be able to create team chemistry? I mean,
Yeah.
with COVID, with all the protocol, it had to have been hard.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
Man, yeah. Luckily, biggest part of it, honestly, one, we originally had a great group of guys that already were knew each other pretty well, liked each other for the most part. I mean, obviously, you're always gonna have you got 100 dudes.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna like each other.
Right.
You got 20. Everybody's not gonna like each other.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so luckily,
That's called church. Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud?
called
Right.
life.
Sorry.
Everywhere
Yes.
you go.
Yes.
But luckily, we had a good group of guys, and even the additions that we brought in, just specific names: Jero Casey, uh, Kareem Jackson, like guys like, well, I mean, they had been here before, but like we brought new guys in,
Right.
and they just fit in like it was nothing. Like they had been here the entire time. They were great guys that came in. There was no like, oh, well, do we know if we like this guy or not? Like they came in, they gelled with their position groups, gelled with the defense, and then gelled with the whole. Like it just kind of fit. So luckily we had that. And I know a lot of guys earlier on there was like you could have 6 people in a building in a space at one time. Like you go out to eat and have
That's
just
all you
this
could have was 6 people?
some I forgot what it. Well, not so
Like
not for work. I
15?
mean like going. So if we were going out to a restaurant or
Yeah,
something like that in the beginnings, like there was this so many people you could have, and we were allowed to go do that stuff early on. It kind of changed toward the end of the season
right,
with COVID and more guys getting positive. But in the beginning, we were allowed to go out and eat stuff as long as we were going out to eat, or just like we couldn't go to a bar and just hang out at the bar. Like we
right,
had to actually be there to eat, and if you got
then
caught,
leave.
you got caught, whatever.
Right,
But things like that, still do smaller things like that helped as well. Even though you couldn't do like a full defense, going out
right.
bowling or whatever, or doing events like that, but you still had ways to find time to bond with teammates. So we had a really great group of guys to start, and then stuff like that as well.
So the teammates that were already connected were able to bring in the new guys and still
Yeah,
feel that
and those
cohesion.
new guys wanted to be a part of it. They weren't like standalone guys that didn't,
Yeah,
thought they're better than everybody else, or whatever. They wanted to be part of the team, wanted to unify, and they did a pretty good job.
that's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, people like you brought up Kareem Jackson. That dude can just drop the hammer, and that's why I watch football.
Best safety duo in the league,
Yeah,
Justin Simmons, Kareem
Justin
Jackson.
Simmons. Yes, I'm one of those guys that I have the T-shirt that says "Make football violent again." So I'm just saying.
Man,
I didn't.
it's
Let's pray.
crazy watching him
Yeah,
come
he
downhill. Just
comes looking to make a
no
difference.
no care in the
Yes.
world. He's like, I'm gonna go hit somebody. It's
Okay,
great.
so I know there's a question I got to ask that everybody is wondering. What's it like to step into a stadium with no fans?
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it In the beginning, it felt like practice.
really.
It felt like we were. I mean, because the way we practiced towards the end of the season, we start pumping in crowd noise behind the quarterbacks to get them to simulate like it's a game or
Right.
whatever. But I mean, you go to a stadium and there's no fans; it's just quiet, and they're pumping in crowd noise. And like crowd noise dies when an injury happens, or like
It'll be
there's
dead
moments
silent.
where it's literally dead silent. Like
Yeah.
you could yell across the field and have a full on conversation with somebody across the field. Like it's crazy. Like it's absolutely crazy. Like in a normal game, you can't do that,
Right.
especially here in Mile High. Like
Oh yeah.
there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I can't hear someone 10 yards away from me.
Yeah.
So at first it was really really rough, really weird. Eventually got used to it. Everybody was dealing with it. Got used to it. I mean, depending on where you go, there were some places that you were allowed to have fans, which was nice to get to go there.
Right.
We had a couple weeks where we were able to have fans, and then we went and turned that around. My wife hated that.
Oh, I bet.
Absolutely hated
Was
that.
family not even allowed?
No. So they were. I think if I'm remembering correctly, the way it started was a small amount of people, small amount of family was allowed to come.
Right.
We had a limited amount of people we could bring, and so we did it to family. And then they increased it to like 7,000 or 10,000 people
Right.
could
And
come,
then they cut that off.
and then they eventually cut it off. It was like, yeah, this is the last game. Family can come. All of a sudden, and we're like, why?
So are you the type of athlete that needs that kind of a motivation? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you have teammates that do.
Yeah.
What does that do to your motivation for a game?
For me, it doesn't. It doesn't play a huge factor. It's nice, especially you hear the uproar, you get
Right.
pumped. The fans. I mean, you definitely feed off the fans' energy. But I mean, you're a professional athlete. You're professional. You gotta figure out a way, especially this
Right.
year, and hopefully not next year.
Right.
Hopefully not. But
Amen. Say
you,
that again.
you
Yes.
gotta figure. You gotta figure it out. For me, once I get that first hit, whether I'm delivering it or or taking it, I'm taking some hits.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So usually I take a couple of hits from my teammates on the sideline before. I know
For
some of us
motivation.
look crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I take that first hit, I'm ready to go. It's kind of how I've been all throughout high school, college, and now.
Did you have teammates though that were struggling because of that, or
No
I mean,
one.
I know they're
Yeah,
supposed to be professionals,
yeah.
but
No one that vocalized it, and so no one that I noticed. There might have been some that were like this, like really sucks, and
Yeah.
I don't like. It's not as fun playing the game as much
Yeah.
as it would be. But a lot more smack talk happened,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
that took place.
Think of that.
That
Little
that took
motivating
over. Yeah,
trash
that was
talk.
different than having the fans.
Wow.
But it was also kind of nice not to have yelling fans that yell
Yeah.
dumb stuff at you.
Yeah.
That was one part that I didn't miss.
Yeah.
So
My brothers weren't there, so it wasn't. No, I'm just kidding. I know that was one of the things that we noticed too by just watching on TV that the, the stations had to be careful
oh yeah,
because you picked up way more
they
than
had
you
an
used to.
F-bomb on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, exactly. Mommy, what's that mean?
I was like, why is this on Nickelodeon? Like, it's cool. I thought it was great, and then I saw them like that. Was
yeah.
a bad
Oh my gosh,
idea.
my son and I were like, that's that's going to cause issues.
Don't they have it to where they can like lag the live
You would
feed?
think.
I thought we had that. I
Yeah,
thought we had
I
that
think Cheech just did that to us.
after the
No, I'm
Super
just
Bowl
kidding.
after the Super Bowl incident with Janet Jackson and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My son was 6. Yeah, that was just created a lot of
yeah.
conversations in the Bloyer house. So um, when it came to COVID in the season this year, how did that affect family time? Did it? Were you not allowed to go home as much? Did you? I mean, how did that work? How did you make sure that you were able to be home and be dad and husband in that situation?
That's the only place we could go. home was
So home was
home was
it,
about it. I mean, again, at certain phases we were able to go out and eat and do stuff or whatever based on what restrictions were out there. Don't get caught being stupid, which some
right?
guys did. Don't go to a
Oh,
strip club.
no,
Don't be dumb. Go to a strip club.
no.
I've never been, never will go. By the way,
There you go.
my wife sees that. Um, but yeah, I mean, as long as you weren't being dumb, there were some spots you could go to, and depending on what restrictions those
Yeah.
spots had. Um, but family was about the only place we could go there. There were some weird restrictions about like so usually my wife could come with me to the game and then she'd drop me off at my spot. Well, she'd park in our parking lot or whatever. We'd all walk in. I'd go to my spot. She'd go sit where she needed to sit. We'd meet out at the gate, the tunnel, or whatever. There was none of that anymore. So like she had to then either drive herself or sit in another parking lot next to where we had to go then pick her up or they like all stood. It was so funny.
Are you kidding
There was
me?
a couple games where all bunch of wives and girlfriends, fiancés, are like standing like right outside the gate, and it looked just like a bunch of groupies. It's pretty
Oh
hilarious.
my
Love
gosh.
all those ladies. They're all great,
Yes.
but it just they're all being
The
funny. They like
visual of it.
yeah, the visual of it, and they kind of like took it upon
Played it up.
themselves, like played it up. It was pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
But that was probably the weirdest thing with family. I mean, and then obviously a lot of family didn't want to fly in and come to games or go to stuff, and you couldn't even. I have family in Cali, I have family in Ohio, I got family all over the place, so not
Right.
being able to see them. My dad's in Atlanta. My sister plays for Georgia Tech, so
Right.
she's in Georgia. So they were able to come to the game. Couldn't see them after the game. So the best I could do was like
Just
find them in
wave.
the stands and like wave at them, and
Wow.
they could take a picture. My grandma came, hadn't seen her in a while, and wasn't able actually to go
Right.
see her. So that was probably the worst part of it about family. But other than that, with my immediate family in my house, I saw as much as I needed to,
That's
besides
awesome.
training camp.
So how, if it was a regular season, how do you and your wife prioritize family and schedule that family time? Now let's get beyond COVID, but
Yeah,
let's go to a regular
yeah,
season
yeah.
where you're probably traveling more and involved more
Yeah.
at the facility. What does that look like?
Yeah, if I'm home, it's family time.
That's it. Okay.
It's pretty much the only time I pretty much get to myself really that I even ask for myself is post game. Come home and depending, not
Right.
necessarily every week, but depending on the week, most weeks, come home. I got my little spot in the basement. I got my video games. I'm a big anime nerd, weeb, whatever you want to call it. So I have that. That's pretty much what I do. End up staying up to 2 o'clock. Hopefully, she decides to wake up with the kids in the morning.
Hopefully.
Sometimes not, especially her being pregnant. So I
Right.
went to bed at 2 and had to wake up at 6 before. But usually when I'm home, it's family time, unless it's
Cool.
just been a really really rough day, and I'm
Yeah.
like, babe, I need a break.
Yeah.
I just need it's one of those days.
So you say that rough day happens. What does it look like? Is it injury rough day? Is it just losing rough day? What does that look
Uh,
like?
Combination usually injury rough day, had a really rough practice, or just being completely honest. There, like you said, 100 guys in the team. You're not gonna like everybody.
Right.
There's some issues dealing with people. You just like I don't feel like
I don't want
feel
to
like I've
be
already
with
been dealing
people.
with
Yeah.
children today. I don't want to deal with my own.
Right. No, I love it.
So just being completely honest,
Yeah.
those have been the three categories of rough days that
Okay.
yeah.
So we kind of hit on it, but you went from high school running back to college linebacker to NFL linebacker. We do have young athletes that are watching. What are the habits or the things that they should be doing now that would enable them to go to the next level? I mean, obviously, we mentioned being in a different sport, doing something like that.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things you would encourage them to do?
Man. So yeah, similar like you said. So I played high school running back, but a little bit of safety play. I played a little bit of everything in
Right.
returner. In high school, you kind of obviously, especially the really good athletes, kind of play all over the place.
Right.
You get to college. I actually went to Northwestern as a safety. I weighed, I think, about 200 flat. And then after those first, like, there's like 7 weeks of summer school and just working out and eating. Literally, all I did, worked out, ate, and took 2 classes. I put on about 25 pounds. I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
Joe, your build is definitely more of a linebacker. And I got Pat Fitzgerald telling me,
You're like,
Joe,
okay.
when'd you move linebacker? I'm like, I want to tell you no, but you're Pat Fitzgerald. So can
I
I
can't
tell
do
you? I
that.
can't tell you no. But part of that is being coachable is one.
Okay.
Um, you may not like the situation you get put in. You may not agree with the situation you get put in. Suck it up and do what you got to do. Make the best out of it. Luckily, I was able to do that.
Yeah.
For me, my niche kind of came with special teams, which is something in college and definitely in the pros that guys don't want to play. Everybody wants to be the starter. Everyone wants to
Right.
be or the next guy in.
Yeah.
Um, it's a role that not many guys embrace. I hated special teams, hate kickoff, hate kickoff return. Like you got to drop back 20 yards and then have someone come full speed at you and try to
Yeah.
block them. Like
Freight train you.
why?
Yeah.
Why would I do this? Um, I sucked it up. Was like I'm gonna be the best person out there at it,
Yeah.
and end up making a niche, and that's why I'm in the NFL. It's not to play linebacker, sadly. Hopefully
No,
one
yeah.
day,
I know what you mean.
but at this point, like that's where I'm at. So being coachable, doing things that you may not necessarily want to do, and just working your butt off, man. If like I said before, if you have a dream of something you enjoy, if you're gonna do it to the fullest. Like there's
Yeah.
no why be out there if you're not gonna do
Yeah.
it. That's always kind of been my mindset. Like I'm not gonna go do something that I apparently enjoy or don't enjoy if I'm not gonna do my best at it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's why am I even out here doing it?
Gotcha.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. Now, one of the things that I read about you was while you were in college and you were playing football, going to school, which most people don't realize being a college athlete
it's a lot.
means you are up at 5, going to bed at 11 midnight. You don't have the luxury to be able to do things during the day because you're going to practice, you're going to film study. But you were also working part-time jobs. Um, When did it come to your mindset that you went, okay, I got to quit the part-time jobs? What did that look like?
Yeah. So started the part-time jobs just to get some extra cash. A lot of them I was smart enough to do during the off season.
Okay.
Still had workouts, still had class, so
Right.
still a lot of time was. There were times where I'm like, I gotta leave work, so you guys are. So I did. I delivered flowers. I coached baseball, and I did. What was the third one?
Personal training.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, coaching actually at another similar facility, TC Boost,
Okay.
was another spot. So if you live in Illinois, go TC Boost.
DC Boost. There you go. We're giving you all the tips.
um, but yeah, it came. And actually, I did my best to manage it, but there are times where like there were a lot of the baseball coaching was there's all these hours, there are these coaches who wants them, and you pick which one you want. So I
Yeah.
did my best to schedule that around. And there were times where like Joe, we really want you to come do this one because you
Yeah.
do well what you do, and I'm like I can't, like I have to say no because I have to get
Yeah.
this in, or I have homework that I have not done yet that needs to get done.
Yeah.
Eventually got married. I got a wife that I need to spend
Yeah.
some time with and be with. And so it just kind of had to figure out my priorities. I wanted the money, sometimes needed the money, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I was like, I'm luckily on a full ride scholarship. I'm not paying for school debt. So if I can't get certain things that I would want or even need it sometimes, and I got to find a way to make it work other ways, then I got to do what I got to do to
Yeah,
stay on top of everything
because
else.
most people don't realize, even though you're a full ride scholarship athlete, there is still a lot of things that you can't do because of that,
Yeah.
which affects you financially.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that? Now you said you were married.
Yeah.
How did that function?
Um, rent went up.
Right, right.
Rent went up a lot. It went from me and some teammates or some buddies splitting rent to me and my wife, and I was fronting most of it. Luckily, she did end up going to work at Starbucks, which helped.
Yeah,
I also made some dumb decisions being an early married man
get
and
it.
financially, and just
Yeah.
rough. Don't do that. Be
Yes.
smart. Talk to your wife about finances. um, but um, yeah, that definitely, even just being married in general and being trying to be a college athlete, going to classes, trying to be a good teammate, spend time with your friends. I missed out a lot of time with my boys. I missed out is maybe the wrong phrase because I'm married. That's my wife. That's my
Right.
other half. Like that's me and her in union. And so obviously like
You had to
she
change
she
priorities.
yeah, priorities
Yeah.
changed. And there are some times I look back like, dang, I wish I did spend a little more time with the boys. I miss some of that camaraderie that I had
Yeah.
my senior year, my 5th year. And then I had a kid my 5th year, and that went even
Yeah.
skyrocketed up even
Teammates
more.
who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who are you guys? I'll see you at practice
I'm
and on
trying to
game day.
sleep.
And if you're really close, you can come to my house and see my
Yeah.
baby and hold her, which had some teammates that did that, and which
That was
was really,
cool.
really awesome. But yeah, priorities switched a lot
Yeah.
being married and being a dad.
Can't imagine.
And yeah, finances went up as well.
Yeah. So we're here. We're having this conversation. It's football Sunday. When was it that you said yes to a relationship with Jesus? What does that look like in your life?
Yeah. For me, it's kind of a collective couple moments.
Okay.
First one was I remember I was in middle school, and was raised in the church, but I kind of released for that age had an understanding of who Jesus was, what Jesus
Yeah.
had done for me. I had was faith was really important to me once I learned how important salvation was
Yeah.
and what He did for us, regardless of whether or not I get to go into heaven. He did this so that I can do this and
Yeah.
sacrifice Himself. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
mom may do that, maybe sacrifice her
Right.
life for me,
Right.
but to the extent of what He did. Elementary school, not elementary, sorry, middle school. But there was a moment in high school I mentioned me breaking my leg.
Yeah. You said that was a God moment.
Man, uh, Jeremiah 29:11 is one of my favorite verses, and I know it gets taken out of context a lot, but for me, it was a moment where I realized the plans He has for me that are good are not necessarily the ones that are only on this earth. Like there's so
Right.
much more to life, and the eternally that comes with having a relationship with Jesus Christ that matters so much more than what happens on this earth. And so realizing that I was very dramatic, and I thought football was over.
Right. Oh yeah. I get
Football
it.
was taken
Yeah.
away from me. This is for junior. For those that don't know, junior year is a very important year for recruiting,
Yeah.
getting scholarships. Like I mentioned before, like I didn't plan on down football, and I was blessed to get a
That's
scholarship
amazing.
before that
Yeah.
happened. That doesn't happen
Yeah.
very often. And so for me, like this, like I actually started to care about going to college. I didn't know I could go to college for
Right.
free and play football and get an education.
Right.
And I learned that I'm like, okay, let's do this, and then I break my leg. And so like a lot of people around me, and I had a lot of time to myself sitting on a couch,
Yeah.
realizing that God's plan for me is greater than football. So that was a coming to Jesus moment. And then in college, I can't remember exactly what triggered it, but there was a time where I was AIA was a big part of my
Athletes in action.
athletes in action.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, athletes in action was a big part of my life. It was actually where I met Austin, our
Yes.
mutual buddy. Then Matt McCucci, another buddy of mine who's in the Air Force. The three of us became really, really close, and having that community around me, being able to uplift me and keep me accountable, or my lifting partner.
Yeah. You got it.
So, it was crucial to me being the man that I am today. If
Yeah.
I didn't have them, there's a lot of things I probably would have done, like
Right.
going to strip clubs when I shouldn't have,
No.
or
Yeah.
doing some dumb stuff. If it wasn't for them, that I would not be the man. I would not probably be married. I would not have the kids that I
Right.
have today. And being in that environment, having those guys around me, it brought a kind of joy to my life that I had never experienced. And it was absolutely amazing and carried it throughout the rest of college.
That's awesome. Yeah, we always say lifting partners are important because they're either the ones that are going to pat you on the back or kick you in the butt.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to
I
enable you to
got
move.
kicked in the
You got a
butt a
lot of
lot.
kicks.
You
A lot
got a
of
lot
kicks.
of kicks,
Yeah,
and I
I
kicked
have
a
a
lot. I kicked a
certain
lot too, though.
I have a certain person on staff that does that to me. He's up there somewhere. Never mind. But yeah, it's one of those areas. So, with your faith and the year that it was, how did your relationship with Jesus help you through this COVID year as a professional athlete?
um, yeah, for me it was just. I mean, every year is a rough year. Wanting to push through, deal with injuries. You deal with guys you don't want to deal with. You deal with stuff at home that you handle at home, leave it at home, come to work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, people that deal with everyday life stuff that they have to deal with as well. I guess it just gets kind of magnified. Being a professional, at least people feel that way as well. But dealing with stuff that everyone deals with, um, but especially with COVID this year, having to a lot of inconveniences
Right.
that I felt were unnecessary
Yeah.
personally.
No, I'm
I know
with you.
everybody has the different opinions on COVID and the things and the restrictions and all that stuff, but me personally, I felt like there was a lot of stuff that was being done, especially for what we called our little ecosystem with our
Yeah.
team. Basically, was our family and then everyone in the team because
Right.
that's the only two places we really went.
Right.
Only people would deal with. So if everything is fine there, why are we doing all this other stuff? And then with everything going on in the world and hard times, I guess I kind of got off track. But like,
No, it's okay.
I, dealing with what I had to deal with was very inconvenient, and I had to suck it up and learn like there's something going on, and I just got to deal with it. And actually gave me a lot of time to focus on my faith. Wasn't able to do as much as I normally would do, and so it
Right.
gave me some time to do some other stuff as well as be a better dad, and try to be a better husband as well. But also then giving back to my community is a very big thing for me. It's whether it's here, whether it's back at home. I do my best to give up my time and give my
Yeah.
finances. Time was kind of limited because of COVID. I couldn't
Right. You can
go
go
and do
where. Yeah.
as much as I wanted to do, but I found a way to do stuff virtually, which was great. And giving up my finances as well that I've been blessed with. For me, I've always thought that God has given me this not just for me and my family, but to give to others that are in need as well. And so COVID was an opportunity for me to do just that. I guess
Yeah.
to give of what I had, whether it was in 30 minutes to do a Zoom call with someone that just wanted to hang out with a Broncos player,
Yeah.
or to give of some finances to some homeless people who needed some food, or whatever it
Yeah.
was, just trying to find a way to give. And COVID was, I guess, a special gave me a special opportunity to do something like that.
To do things that you normally weren't because of your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, when it comes to your faith, I think it's always important. We talk about this for guys, that a big component is leading at home. What would you say is one of the things that you feel like leading at home in your faith is something that you do every day? Just kind of an insight into the home. How would your wife say Joe leads this way in his faith at home?
Good question. That make me think. um, Bedtime is my time with is my thing with the girls. And got to get better at it because as they got older and a little more antsy and active, they don't
Oh
like to
yeah.
go down as easily.
Oh yeah.
So it's always this isn't the time we're going to bed. This is the first time I put you back in bed, and then I got to come back 10 more times later. Um, but prayer time with them, teaching them how to pray and what to pray about, even though their favorite thing is to pray for the same people multiple
That's awesome.
times.
That's
Pray
awesome.
for Grammy and Papa, and then Grammy, and then Daddy, and then Mommy, and then Grammy, and then.
I love it. I
um,
love it.
but that is something that I've done, that I've tried to do with my kids, and
Yeah.
I need to do. Honestly, I've found myself lacking lately that I want to do a better job at, that I used to do.
Oh yeah.
And then something that I want to grow at is finding a way to read the Bible with my kids in a way that they understand and explaining it to them, rather than just me telling them who Jesus is and
Yeah.
who God
I
is,
gotcha.
but them learning for themselves who that is, and getting God's word, which is where it all comes from anyway. So
Yeah. I remember, I'm an old guy now, and when my kids were younger, we would do the prayer thing when they went to bed, and my wife would always say, "You can't rile them up before you pray with them, because then they're not going to go to sleep, because that's dad
yeah.
fun time."
Exactly.
But I remember that when they made the transition, from kids to
I
teenagers.
look forward to it.
Yeah,
Parts of it.
parts of it.
Parts
Yeah,
of it.
I always tell people, don't look past where your kids are now, because you're going to miss the opportunity of
Yeah,
that joy.
I learned
You
that.
know, I,
I'm
I'm
excited
now
for this new one.
grandpa. So it's weird. But when they made that transition, they didn't want to do the "Hey, Dad, come in and pray" thing. And I learned this by being involved with Promise Keepers. I would stand outside their door and pray for them as they went to bed, and that was one of those things that, because I still had that habit, I wanted
I
to.
love that. I might
And
steal that.
no, I stole it from someone else.
Yeah.
So now we've talked about faith, family, football, and this question is coming, and you already told me. But what is the picture for you after football? What does that look like?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no clue. Um, there are some things that I've grown up wanting to do that have changed, but still kind of there. One of them was like starting my own TC Boost Landau
yeah,
Performance Elite Speed. Um, Mentoring young athletes has been something that I've always enjoyed doing, being putting my time with the young guys or
yeah,
girls, and not only just as an athlete, but as a Christian,
yeah,
trying to build their faith, whether they're a Christian or not, just being that role model, and trying to do that. And FCA/AA gave me an opportunity to do
yeah,
that, and it's kind of what led me towards that. Coaching, not so much, because there's just so much more to it
Yeah.
versus like being one of those strength coaches or one of those performance coaches allows me to get to know you personally. Not that the
Yeah.
coach doesn't, but also like I get to do what I want to do with you
Yeah.
versus you got also stuff that you got to do with this program. Like I get to run my program and do what I want to
Yeah.
do with you, get to know you the way I want to get to know you. So that's always been awesome. Always love playing video games. Pro gamer has been there.
Pro gamer. I
Pro
like
gamer.
that.
My wife and kids may disagree with that. The
I
amount of
love it.
video games I play now is not as much, and so my skills have definitely dwindled. But
Yes.
if I'm not playing football anymore, I mean, I might. A lot of guys do
But
that.
I've seen that.
A lot of
That's
guys do that. I've
amazing.
always wanted to, just don't have the time to do that. A lot of
That's
single
awesome.
guys get to do that.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's
No,
yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
where
I
that's
appreciate
at.
because I think a lot of people have this idea that most professional athletes are they're going to transition from this to this and they've got this plan, and that's not really not the truth.
That's a select few people, very
Yeah.
small percentage.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. We're going to finish with what I call the Mad Minute. It's not a minute; it's usually longer, but it's fun. So here are just some blaze. Don't think about them. Just have fun with them.
Okay.
Okay. Favorite book to read?
Well, with my kids, Pout Fish is one of them. There's a series of books.
I love it.
But Pout Fish has actually kind of gotten pretty fun.
Okay. Guilty pleasure movie. If it's on TV, you're gonna watch it.
Shooter.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg.
Love
Okay.
that movie.
You know what? Who loves that movie in my family? My mom. She's like, he's just manly.
Oh my
He's just
gosh.
So, all right. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? Flight. Okay.
Flight.
Yeah.
I always joked. My wife is gonna hate this. I always joked with my wife, even when we were dating, that I could fly and that she couldn't know about it. There's no way for her to know about it.
I love
And I
it.
was like, so if there's ever an issue, just like hit me up and call me. I'll be there in literally 5 seconds. Growing up, we lived maybe a 12-minute drive. I could make it 8 if I really wanted to.
Awesome.
But I'm like, yeah, I'll just fly. I'll be there in 2 seconds. Just let me know.
Awesome.
You miss me that much? Do you want me to just fly home?
I'm here.
Like, I know I'm at school, but I could just fly home for a couple minutes and then fly back to practice.
I love it.
Okay.
So here you go. If the question is, what is one thing that you would want to do that you currently can't do?
Speak Japanese.
Speak Japanese. Okay.
Like I mentioned before, I'm a big anime nerd.
Right.
And so being able to speak and read Japanese, which I've started learning how to,
Nice.
took a hiatus and then we
Yeah.
start back up. But started learning how to be able to watch Japanese and not watch anime and not have
Without
to like read the
subtitles?
subtitles. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be dope.
My son went and played football in China, and so he learned a little bit. And so every once in a while, he'll just throw it out to make me feel stupid.
I love it, and I want to go visit Japan as well, and not be like a tourist. Like be
tourist,
like a
yeah,
tourist,
yeah.
but like in America, people expect people to know English.
Right.
Like I want to go to Japan and be like, yeah, I can speak Japanese. Like we
Oh,
can have a
that's
full-on
awesome.
conversation, and
I love
you
it.
not have to worry about
I
it.
love it. Okay. Here you go. Really awkward question, I know.
Uh-oh.
And you know what I'm about to ask. So, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Is it the GOAT or is it the kid? Right? We got GOAT Tom Brady. See what I did there? GOAT kid.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes. Who's winning?
Man, I'd like neither, but I have to go with Brady.
Okay.
He made it. He made the playoffs.
Yeah.
They didn't. The Patriots didn't.
Yeah.
He's not in the Super Bowl. Patriots are nowhere near it. He did it
Right.
without Belichick. He proved that it's not Belichick and that it was him, or a combination of the two. Whatever.
Right.
You don't need to win another one, dude. However, you made it this far. Go ahead, win another one, and it'd be the last one. Like this is it. Like you are
seeing
limited.
how
to
the
this
other
is it.
team is in your division.
This is it. Yeah. But the thing with that is, I mean, and they kicked our butt this year. We had a close one with them, so I won't say that. But
Right.
it would also, part of me, not many people agree with this, but part of me would be like, it'd be dope for them to win, and then us just come back next year and kick their butt twice and be like, Super Bowl champions who? That would be dope. So part of me is like, let's do that. Like that, it makes our division look better that we got the Chiefs and then we win our division.
So here's my thought. Are
kick
we
their butt.
putting that out there and asking God to bless that? Because I'm kind of, as a Bronco fan, just saying, I'm with you.
I'm going to go with, God can go ahead and take care of Brady on Sunday.
All
A couple
right.
Sundays from now.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed our time with Joe here and hearing about his faith. What I'd like to do is to just pray for Joe as we finish out tonight. Is that all right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
God, we thank you so much for Joe and his walk of faith that started in middle school and has now brought him to this place as a husband and as a father. And so, God, we're praying that you bless his marriage, watch over his marriage, watch over his wife as she's expecting, enable his children to grow in faith and in favor with you because of who their dad is, not because of the sport he plays, but because of the man he is of faith. Enable them all to walk in that way. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.